Good morning. Welcome to Our Neutral Voices Presents a Financial Pillar. I'm your host, Ryan Leopard. Happy to be back with you this week. Unfortunately, we had a last minute cancellation last week and we weren't
Took a break.
here. My Wednesday last week was a little bit lost without you guys, but I'm excited to be back. So thank you. Today, joining me on the set, we have from ONV, Millie.
Good morning. How are you?
Yep. And I know we can't see him right now, but James is with us behind the camera. And then we have a special guest with us today from a local not-for-profit organization here in town, Brightpoint, CEO Steve Hoffman.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. So, Steve, for those out there that aren't familiar with you, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm the CEO of Brightpoint. I've been CEO for 13 years or so. Been at Brightpoint since 1999. So it's been an important part of my life over that time. Grew up here in Allen County, southeast, rural southeast Allen County. So I'm from Monroeville, which is not far from here. And I grew up coming to Southtown all the time and all that. So Fort Wayne, even though I'm a rural guy, we have to come here for all our shopping and stuff. So I feel like I'm definitely a Fort Wayne native.
Gotcha.
So
Good. So what got you into the not-for-profit side of business?
well, I got out of the military and went to college and so forth. And really, I thought I wanted to work in government, like city government, and couldn't get a job in those. I kept finishing second for jobs, and so I just really needed a job. And Brightpoint had an opening, and I went for it and got it. Not really thinking I'd be there long, but it pretty much captured me right away. And I've been fortunate to have been promoted at all the right times. And so it's become my life, my career for sure.
Absolutely. Isn't that crazy? Sometimes what you're not looking for becomes what you
That's exactly
your
right.
passion.
Yep.
Right. So tell us a little bit about Brightpoint and how they fit into our community.
Well, we're a pretty large nonprofit in town, and our mission is to help communities, families, and individuals remove the causes and conditions of poverty. So we are trying to help people become self-sufficient, primarily economically self-sufficient. Although there are lots of non-economic pieces of that to get people to that level. So we want to help create opportunities for folks so that they can build toward that permanent self-sufficient status. There's a lot of people living in poverty in Allen County, throughout Northeast Indiana. Poverty rate's about 13% right now. In actuality, though, that poverty statistic is so old, it's not really a great measure of actual self-sufficiency. That number is about twice what the poverty level is. We have almost a third of people in Northeast Indiana that are not economically self-sufficient. So we want to try to help all of them move up, not just for them, but for all of us, because the more economic strength we have as a community, the more vibrant it is for all of us. So we do a lot of different things in that space, direct services to people.
So is Brightpoint just a local organization, nationwide? Are you partnered with anybody
Good
else?
question. We are a local organization, so our service territory is 14 counties. Our headquarters are here in Fort Wayne, but we are what's called a community action agency, which was started in the war on poverty back in 1964, 65. At that time, President Johnson created community action to fight poverty at the local level. So it's sort of a unique concept in that instead of, and a lot of federal programs are very top down, we were created, yes, the federal government created it. And today there's a community action agency in every county in the country, but it's locally controlled. We have a local board that studies what needs there are here, and they decide what we do to fight poverty. So across the nation, we have a very loose network because of that. It's very desegregated. And while we're all fighting poverty and in some ways look similar, we're also very different because each community is different, both in what needs they have, but also what other assets there are. For us, we don't do a lot of direct health services because we have some great health nonprofits in town, like neighborhood health clinics and so forth. Other community action agencies in other parts of the state and nation do some health. So it's just a matter of what the board and what the community needs and what we've built over time.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Gotcha. So what kind of, is there a certain, you know, age group, demographic, financial status that Brightpoint, where do they fit in?
well, we serve anybody. We serve from age 0 all the way till, senior citizens in a variety of different programs. So the biggest, I guess, characteristic of who we serve is that income level. Most of our programs and our programs are funded by different funders. Could be federal government, state government, local foundations. They apply a lot of rules to what we do. So a program that we have like utility assistance or childcare, the funder may say, here's who qualifies for that. A defining factor is almost every program we have has an income limit. You have to be below 100% of poverty or 200% of poverty to qualify. We have programs like Head Start that is obviously it's a preschool, so that's for ages 3 to 5, their kids and their families. But in general, all the programs we have, utility assistance is very heavy on seniors, child care assistance very much toward families, in particular single parent families. We have veterans programs that are, you have to be a veteran to get in there. So individually, there may be some characteristics, but overall, it's primarily income.
Okay. And go ahead, Millie.
I have a question. First, thank you for your service.
Oh, thanks.
And with so much of the poverty level here in this area or the area that you serve, is there a waiting list? Do you see that you as an organization cannot service everyone who's applying for assistance? And what do they do in the meantime?
Yeah, that's tough. Most every program we have has a waiting list of some kind. We try to get to them as soon as we can. We try to refer them to other organizations, township trustees, other assistance sources in the meantime. We are constantly working on gap filler funding. So I think a great example there is childcare. It's a huge program, really needed, and when people sign up for it, you're actually signing up for the waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
So it's frustrating for me. They need childcare now. Those are almost always single parent households. If you have 2-parent households, then both parents have to be working. So you have to have a service need to qualify.
Right.
So they absolutely need childcare to keep working, which is obviously what you need to be self-sufficient. But the system, we locally have to wait till the state says, okay, you have some slots and take people off.
Mm.
So we work hard locally, like through United Way or whatever. Can you give us a little bit of money to help these people that are on the waiting list so we can get them going a little bit quicker? So we do that. The problem is, child care vouchers overall, that's a $80 million program. Each child we serve is about a $6,000 benefit. United Way can give us $80,000. You're only going to serve, 12 kids. So
Right.
there's always people going unserved, and that is a frustration. But we try to help them as much as we can with different resources.
So you mentioned a few different programs within you're talking to us so far, the child care assistance, the utility assistance, veterans. Are any of these programs, do you feel important that you want to dive in a little bit more on for the time that we have today?
Um, well, I think, I definitely want to get to some of our lending
Hmm.
issues because that's a little different category, but I definitely just in general want to say if folks need help, and first of all, we face a lot, and I know it from my own past, a lot of folks need help but don't really want to reach out.
Hmm.
Pride or whatever, I get it. Um, but we're here to help people. You've probably contributed in the past through taxes and whatnot, through donations. If you need help, seek it.
Hmm.
And you can go to our website and see all the different programs we provide. But even if we don't have that, reach out to us and we can help connect people to where they can get help. We have a core of programming that's meant to try to help with the basic stability of the household. So we talked about utilities, a lot of different rent programs. We help people find health insurance. Um, we're working on transportation, although that's a really um, tough issue to crack right now. Having enough assistance for
Hmm.
that. Um, so lots of different things. We have youth programming and early childhood programming, which is critical to get people in. So a lot of different options, even from us, but the network here in Fort Wayne and in Allen County is pretty strong, I
Hmm.
think. We just had my state conference here, and in Fort Wayne, and they got a picture of what Fort Wayne and Allen County looks like from a social service perspective. And we have a strong social service network here, human service network. Um, we need to support that network, first of all, sort of from a funding side, but people need to utilize that if they
Okay.
need it because we're all in it together and want to, if we're all rising everyone up, we're going to be a stronger community.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. So it sounds like there's many different things that Brightpoint can help people with. But you mentioned one of the important things is that you want to get out and bring awareness to today is the lending aspect of what
yeah.
Brightpoint is. So what does that look like?
Well, that's a little different avenue for us, and we started that around 2010 or so. But traditionally, and since we've been around in 64, 65, almost all of our programs are free. Um, but as we were going through lots of needs assessments and studying the needs, what we really saw was an opportunity and gaps in credit, access to capital, and so forth for lower income populations. And so we started to go down a couple routes. One is housing development as well. So we are building affordable housing. That's one aspect, but the other aspect is lending. So we are what's called a community development financial institution. We're one of the few that are active in the area and in Indiana, and we're an SBA micro lender.
Okay.
So our purpose is to provide lending capital to a population that's not quite bankable. So we're not going to compete with your bank or PNC or anything. If people can get a credit card from them or a loan, small business loan, that's where we
So
want people to go.
so if somebody came to you for a loan, would you require them to go and check out their bank first to see if they can get qualified there, and
Absolutely.
then if they get denied, then come back to you?
Absolutely. So we have a relationship with most of the banks in town. If people come to us and they don't even have a bank, we'll send them to
Mhm.
banks to see first if can you get a loan from them and so forth. The banks also send us folks that they've seen first and they can't do a loan with, either because of credit worthiness or a lot of times it's just the amount that they want. We do a lot of small micro business lending, that a lot of banks don't want to deal with. $5,000-$10,000 loans that it's not that
Really worth their
profitable.
while, yeah.
So they send them to us. The good thing about us and our we not only provide capital, which is not available really from anywhere else at the stage we're at, but we provide a lot of TA, technical assistance, both pre and post. So we do small business lending, and we're going to help people get ready for the loan. If they need a business plan built, get their credit a little bit better, whatever, we'll help them to help get ready for the loan. Once they have the loan, we'll be with them post as well. So we will bring in whatever resources we may need, maybe consultants, volunteers through like SCORE that can help that business owner build their business as they're paying back their loan to us.
So if I was young entrepreneur just starting out, not really knowing what to do, and I came to you, you would help guide me through that process?
Absolutely. That's a great thing. And if anybody's out there, regardless of the income as well. So this is an area where income really isn't a issue. It's just the lack of credit that is the issue. So anybody can come to us and we'll sit down and talk with you. If we think you're lined up to go to Star to get a business loan, we'll get you there and you can get that. We'll get you through that avenue. If not, then you can keep working with us and we can get something going with you.
Okay. Gotcha.
I have a question. You know, you say you walk them through it. Is there a literacy component for all your programs? Because there's so many people going, I'm sure, on a regular basis, either because they have a fixed income or they've fallen in hard times, lost their job. But in the meantime, as you're helping them with self sufficiency, is there a teaching component for literacy to help them kind of navigate either through budgeting or to trying to figure out where's the money going? Can we get more resources to supply the need for self sufficiency?
Yep, great question. That's based on the program, really. So how much depth we have with the family and the different programs sort of dictates that. And by that, I mean, we have a lot of case management programs where we're meeting with families regularly, maybe every week, every 2 weeks. A lot of our rental programs have that component. The veterans program does. That financial literacy is a major part of that curriculum. We're doing budgeting, credit building, all those kinds of things. For like the utility assistance program, that's a very low touch program. We don't have much time with folks. So it's not a structured part of that. You're pretty much applying. If you qualify, we're giving you some assistance. And that's the end of it. But we offer it. So everyone that comes to us, including people that aren't in a program, can take advantage of our financial literacy classes,
That's awesome.
different things at any point that they want.
So even a person that doesn't get assistance can
Absolutely.
still come in to get
The education.
information, the
educational piece.
education. So out there, you know, our community, you know, you can go to Brightpoint. That's a very important part of what we're doing is trying to educate the community. So that's really good to know. Thank you.
We're offering those things a lot.
Okay.
And not just us. A lot of human service organizations are doing that as well. So it's I don't think there's a central calendar, which we really need, but a lot of folks, including like Lutheran Social Services and other organizations, are doing financial literacy. So it's a great thing to take advantage of.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the lending there. Anything else that you want to add to that?
The other part of lending, and definitely I wanted to speak about, we talked about small business. We're also in consumer lending. So here our big issue is to help people avoid predatory lending. We do not want anyone going to a payday lender.
Okay, I was going to say,
For
can you
instance.
elaborate on, for our listeners, what we mean by predatory
Yeah,
lending?
primarily, payday lenders are the biggest issue for me, but that's also your buy here, pay here's, a lot of rent to own type places, not all, but some. Those are predatory because you get into that situation and you get into a trap. Payday lending in Indiana, and we're actually, Brightpoint's pretty active in trying to end it legislatively. There have been efforts in the last few years to expand it, make more products available to people. Most people don't realize that the APRs on a payday loan in Indiana. Have you guys talked about that here at all?
Not
Does anybody wanna
in depth
guess?
on here. I mean, I have experience dealing with clients from the banking
28%.
industry, but yeah, I mean, you don't have money today and you go to borrow money until your next paycheck. Well, that next paycheck is going to be gone with the interest that you're paying. It's a cycle you're going to get in.
So Millie guessed 28%. Do you want to guess what payday lending APR is?
Is it more than 28%?
52.
300.
I didn't even think that was legal.
360% is the
Are you
average.
kidding? Wow.
So
That's
the biggest
awful.
issue with that is you take out a loan, as you just said. You have to repay it in 2 weeks. The thing about that is, and it's not so much that first fee is terrible. So you can borrow up to $700, $715 in Indiana. You're going to pay $88 to borrow that $715. But you have to pay it back in 2 weeks. And the problem is, pretty much by definition, people that get into that situation, they're not able to pay it back.
Sure.
So what people do is roll it over. They pay it off by taking out the next one, and they pay that $88 again. On average, they do that 8 times. So it's just a trap. They get out of it. We know this through studies. They get out of that debt trap by seeking help from family, social service agencies, or whatever. So my thing is, we don't need them. Just get help up front.
Seek that assistance
Everybody's
first.
going to be better. It's going to be cheaper. So our program, we're both trying to get rid of it legislatively, but also in the market. So at this point, we're partnering with employers to offer.
Is that something that's on a state or federal level?
It's just us. We partner with an employer, and if there's employers out there, we'd love to talk to you, because we will offer our loan through the employers, and then the employers will do payroll deduction to pay us back. Until we get big, I'd love to have a storefront someday, but we need to get enough volume to get up there. But the key format for us right now is to work with employers to offer it to their employees. Parkview, the city of Fort Wayne, we've got various various partners in the community as examples.
The consumer market reach out to you directly without their employer being involved?
No, we need to we have had cases where, and if anybody's listening, I'd love to have that at my place. We've had people go to their employer and say, we need this program here. And we've partnered that way. So that's absolutely what we'd love to do.
Okay.
But at this point, that partnership with the employer is critical to us.
So somebody out there that's listening to us right now that says, hey, I'm going to go get a payday loan this week, but let me check out Brightpoint. They can't check with you directly at this time, right?
Not directly,
It has to be through an employer program. Okay.
But so in that situation, don't go to the payday lender. Go to Brightpoint, go to your church, go to your family, go somewhere, anywhere but the payday lender. You will regret it. Everybody does.
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying, don't go to the payday lender. And I asked about the waiting list. So I am going to sound like Joe Schmo from the community, that I'm frustrated. I can barely, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, and Peter don't have enough to take from. And then we go to Brightpoint and we get, you're on a waiting list. There are no other resources for this particular individual, for whatever reason, that they don't qualify for other resources, then what? Do, do you see how
I do.
it could be a cycle?
I absolutely.
I don't want to seem like the bad person here,
You are not.
but
Sounds like
like
Steve's
a
heard
Karen.
this
But
scenario before.
I
The
have.
real
you know,
situation.
it's reality.
I know.
You know, and then when people do apply, because they have a shut off notice and there's an emergency assistance, because I understand there's that emergency if you have a disconnect, but it takes so long
Mhm.
to get to that individual for that even for that emergency assistance. So the utilities get cut off, then now you have another agency involved because the
I
parent
get it.
can't provide. So for someone out there who has been going through something like that, what advice can you give them so they don't give up, so they don't throw in the towel, so they don't think that everybody's out to get them?
I definitely understand. And I know it's easy to say, don't go there. Okay, I get that. I just know from my experience, and from everybody we've talked to, it never helps in the long term, the predatory part. All I can say is exhaust every avenue you have. Certainly if you're in a situation where in 2 weeks you can pay off a payday loan or whatever, it can be valuable. But there are a lot of places you can reach out to for help. Even if Brightpoint's full or whatever, your township trustee is there to provide emergency assistance. 211, call 211 to seek sources. Exhaust every friend, and I know, or family. I know that's a prideful thing and tough to do, but half of the people that get out of payday lending debt get help from their family or friends to get out of it. The other half is social service organizations. So people eventually get to that anyways. So I don't have a perfect answer because there's never enough assistance, but that those types of lenders are taking away from people, not adding to people.
Right.
You don't see it up front, and if you read the contract, even when you read them fully, I just did a rent to own thing last year and didn't really read it very fully, and I sort of got taken. Now I fought it, ended up winning or whatever, but it's so easy to get caught in that trap. But just it's not going to be good for you in the long run. So not a perfect answer, I know. But
One of the things that I heard is that there is somewhere, like a database that they can go to, and you mentioned it is 211. So there's always a way to get the help, and locally it's 211, and you can get resources not only from Brightpoint but other organizations. You just let them know your need, and they will direct you to the right path. So
absolutely.
that's awesome to know for our community
Absolutely.
to know. So thank you.
Steve, we're coming up on our time here today with you. But before we go, is there anything else that you want our listeners to know about Brightpoint? Any information you want to add that maybe we didn't talk about yet?
I think I'm pretty good. So thank you.
Well, why don't you at least let our listeners know how to get in contact or how to find Brightpoint?
Yeah, so our phone number is 260-423-3546. Can call that at any time, and our website is mybrightpoint.org. So lots of information on there. A lot of you can apply for several of our programs on there as well. So that's a pretty great portal to learn about all the things we do and even apply for some things. More and more, we don't even have to see people for some of our programs. It can happen all electronically. So
Gotcha. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
So the question is, you have to repeat because they can hear me. The question is, like if I come to get assistance, are there any limitations on how many times I have to come through? And then any liability. In other words, man, do you demand insist that they go through a financial literacy program, like accountability, or we're giving these dollars out so they don't have a cycle coming back through the door every 6 months.
So I believe we have a question from the audience there, and if I got that correct. First part of it is there a limitation on number of times that somebody can be helped? Second part of that question was, is there any sort of requirement, which I think Millie touched on this earlier, but is there any sort of requirement on financial education on their part to qualify for these things?
Answer is depends. So I've used that. I've used that a few times today. Every program's a little different, and it depends on what their rules are. Some like the utility program, we've talked about that. That's a one-time a year benefit. So you come in, sign up, you get assistance once, and then the next season you can try again. Program like childcare, once you're on it, you stay on it for several months, years sometimes, if you continue to qualify. Rent assistance, broad differences. Our veterans program, you can get on rent assistance and you'll have assistance for up to 12 months. Some of the other ones are 3 months. So it's all a little different based on the program you get into. From an accountability standpoint, that also depends. Most of the time, something like utilities, again, that's as close to we have as an entitlement program, I would say. If you qualify, you get it, and that's it. That's a high volume. It helps a lot of elderly folks. It's keeping a lot of people independent. So that's a good thing. It's a very good thing for the community, but people don't really have to do anything to get that assistance. Childcare, you have to be working or going to school to stay qualified for that. If you drop out of that, you no longer have a service need. You can take care of your children yourself. So you're going to lose that benefit. Health insurance, similar kinds of things. So again, it sort of depends. I did want to point out, since we talked about that consumer lending thing, we actually don't require financial literacy to get our consumer loans, and that's by design as well. When you go to a payday lender, you don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get that loan. That is an attraction for people. So we've seen efforts in Fort Wayne in the past, in my 20 years, to try to get more people bankable, getting credit worthy and so forth. And they've made people go through 6 classes, 8 classes, whatever. And people don't want to do that. They don't have time. Our purpose with the consumer loan is don't go to payday. Mm-hmm. So we try to make it as easy as that. We offer financial literacy classes, modules online, but they don't have to do it.
Okay. I think it's a great segue to end us today over to Millie, because, excited to announce a program that ONV is starting in partnership with Brightpoint. Millie, you want to let our listeners know about that?
Yes, we are truly excited to partner with Brightpoint. I'm going to be reading this flyer that we have. Our Neutral Voices and Brightpoint for a Brighter Future has a seminar on financial building. The first session starts this Saturday. It's called A Financial Overlook, and it's 4 sessions. The 4 sessions, again, July 22nd, Financial Overview, August 19th. They'll be talking about banking, September 16th, budgeting, and October 21st, credit. So this is about building your financial foundation, and it's going to be located at the Summit Community Center at 1025 West Rudisill Boulevard, right here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And if you are interested, you can pre-register right now at 260-348-5785, or you can email info@ourneutralvoices.org. So we're really excited to be presenting this with Brightpoint. It's important that we educate. We're always pushing that. It's important that we empower people with the information that they obtain and how to use it in their everyday life. So I'm excited. I can't wait to be
Absolutely.
there.
I think
As
these are
are
all
we.
the top, at least those first 4 sessions of topics that we've talked about on the show, but it's going to give, our listeners the opportunity to come in person,
Yes.
and talk and have their voice heard and ask those questions that they may be having. So,
And meet our neutral voices and a lot of people in the community. So we're excited to be out there.
And
So
totally
Absolutely.
free.
and totally free.
Totally free.
Free.
Make sure.
Free's good.
Sometimes air isn't even free. So come out. It starts this Saturday at 7 p.m. So, if you don't have anything to do, come out. And education is so important. I love the part that we empower people with knowledge. So
Yep. And I would love to be there. Unfortunately, I had a prior engagement this weekend for that, but I'd love to hear next week when we come back for the show.
Absolutely.
What the turnout was like. And I hope to attend the second session in August?
Yes.
Yeah, August 19th, and see our listeners there, and hopefully meet some of those listeners. Because obviously, sounds like our audience is growing.
Yes.
Our show is growing. So that's great news. But help us out. Subscribe, hit the like button, share, help us spread that financial literacy. We hope to see you this Saturday. Thank you. We'll see you next week, same time, 8:30 a.m. next Wednesday. Our Neutral Voices.
have
Peace.
a good day.